Have you ever played a video game where from beginning to end you can feel the love? The indie market has a wealth of these games, but while a lot of them do a great job at recreating the gameplay designs and philosophies of old, only a few can take that and turn it into something fantastic. This is what was running in my head as I was playing Shovel Knight, a game that I doubt needs any kind of introduction. I know I am more than 10 years late into the party at the time of this recording, but in my defense, it was one of those games that I kept telling myself I'd play sometime, but always slipped my mind. Well, now I have played it, and I have things to say, so let's get started with the basics. In this game, we play as the titular Shovel Knight, a legendary hero of old having retired from adventuring after a treasure hunt went horribly wrong, and causing him to lose his partner and his will to fight. He now finds himself back in action. An evil enchantress has corrupted the knights of the kingdom, and has unsealed the power of the tower that took the Shield Knight away from our hero. So now it's up to him to wield his shovel again, knock some sense into the rogue knights, and find his old partner. And that's about it. In terms of picking up after classic games, this game is a love letter to pretty much some of the most beloved games from the NES. I can't list all of them without making the video overly long, but if we are to draw the cult inspirations, I'd say there is a lot of Mega Man and Castlevania in its DNA. After completing the tutorial stage, you are set in an overworld where you can get to choose which stage you want to do next, beating 3 knights each time so you can unlock your way into the other regions and so on. The game has a bit of signposting on who should be beaten first if you look at the color of the locked roads, but really, all of them can be beaten in any order you want. True to the classics, this game is driven by your own skills as a player rather than any progression system making you stronger, and you are going to need those skills. Coming from playing Souls-likes and games born from the ever-torturous Kaizo-style platformers, this game is not that hard, but it is built in a way that any player can get destroyed if they are not careful. First, of course, it is through your health. You get a generous health bar that will let you take a fair amount of hits before having to worry. But taking damage also knocks you back. Considering this is mostly a platformer and it has its fair share of hazards, I can tell you most of my deaths came from getting knocked into an instant death. But that's okay, because one of the things that makes this game extra fun is how much it rewards exploration. After all, your shovel is perfect for digging out treasure and secrets. As you make your way through the levels, you can freely look for hidden paths and breakable blocks, revealing supplies, extra treasure, and special items that can give you an edge in your journey, provided you have the magic points to use them. Or in some cases, the money to afford it, because the town's merchant will often be ahead of you and already have the treasure in his hands, so you can buy it off him. Every single time is more than worth it. Plus, the merchant is a neat little guy, so he deserves all the money. Speaking of which, the biggest thing about Shovel Knight is that he can dig out treasure, all of it resulting in gold, and that being your main currency. Your main goal, aside from defeating the bosses, is to make as much gold as possible while making your way through the levels, and here is where you see two major mechanics: the checkpoint and the retrieval system. Checkpoints have a dual purpose. From the obvious, letting you continue from them after death, but they also serve as a difficulty modifier. With the exception of 2 stages, all of them are breakable. I wasn't able to figure out how they work, but depending on your performance on your way to them, you will see the gem of varying value spawn when you activate them. Breaking the checkpoints will release the gems, giving you bonus gold, but for the remainder of the level, you won't be able to use that checkpoint anymore. So if you were in the middle of the level, or if you have been breaking all the checkpoints, it means dying will take you all the way back to an untouched checkpoint, if not outright at the start of the level. And this is where you can see the risk-reward of both the difficulty and the retrieval system come into play. The retrieval system is basically taken from Dark Souls. Anytime you die, you drop a percentage of your gold in the form of 3 flying bags. They are their own difficulty modifiers, and they are a nice warning to be careful of your own mistakes, because these bags will stay wherever they spawn. Sometimes they can be left out of reach or unable to get them without dying a second time, and much like with other versions of the system, if you die without reclaiming them, they are gone for good. This leads into the one real flaw I see with the design, but more on that in a moment. What really surprised me is that the bosses in the main stages are not the only ones you face in the game. Depending on your progress, wandering warriors will spawn in the overworld, and you get to have a fun little battle for some extra gold and fun little side plots. The chances of encountering a boss are so random that I was surprised when exploring the only other town got me scammed out of my hard-earned gold, and then got to face the owner of the shop where I got scammed to both defend myself and to also get my money back. And since we're already talking about the towns, let's talk about them in more detail, because if there is one thing that really surprised me is how charming everything is. The hub areas in this game are the realized potential of the hubs of all the NES games. They are full of life and cute little interactions. It is also where you can get more gold by finding the music sheets of the bard, unlocking the game's soundtrack, or to spend your hard-earned money in upgrades and more gadgets for you to use. Largely, this is where all of your money is going to go. The only other thing you can buy aside from health and magic is the armors. The armors in this game are essentially a side grade. Little benefits for you to use, like dropping less gold on death, or flinching a lot less if you take damage. But all of them also come with their own setbacks, so you have to pick wisely, or not pick at all, since the entire game can be beaten with the default blue armor. And this is where I'm gonna have to talk about my one and only complaint about this game. In Souls-likes and other games with a retrieval system, usually the loss of your currency gets balanced out by you being able to easily make it all back by simply playing. Due to the volatile nature of the gold you drop on death, there is a good chance you can finish a stage with less gold than you started with if you die too much. This will be a problem, of course, if you were trying to do the story bits that need you to invest money, or were in the middle of your unlocking your upgrades. But the game has a number of workarounds. You can replay previous stages so you can make some of your gold back, or if worse comes to worse, you can do the bottle minigame at that town with the catchiest minigame music ever. You have options, so no matter what happens, you won't be broke. So why is this a problem? For one, as I said, the 3 flying bags of gold you lose when you die can end up in unreachable places, meaning that there is not even any point in trying to recover them. And on the other hand, that I can just brute force my way through the tougher levels knowing I can just grind my gold back to unlock whatever I'm missing, renders the retrieval system pointless. Yes, I can still embrace the challenge of dying as little as possible, but I still feel it could have been handled better. You know what this game actually handles like a pro instead? The story. Usually indie games only go for emulating the classics, but for this one in particular, they actually made it part of the story. What I mean is, as the Shovel Knight is a hero coming out of retirement, the other characters, namely the bosses, constantly berate and talk about him like he is a relic of the past. They will tell him he needs to join him and get with the times, or to just leave as he is too old for this, and the world doesn't need heroes like him anymore. It's a small thing, but it gives me fuzzy feelings, playing as a hero of old showing that he still got it. Plus, there is a very neat emotional angle going on with the knight himself. Him and Shield Knight were seemingly very close, because at the end of each level you can see Shovel Knight being haunted by that loss, and you can feel it. I'm usually not too much into indie games that emulate the NES, as I started the gaming with the Super Nintendo when I was a kid, but the way this game just uses charm really hooked me in. Every character, every NPC, every environment is just so full of energy and personality. Even when I'm not the biggest fan of old school chiptunes, I sometimes will just stop to listen to the music or even talk to the local bard in the main town and ask him to play a song for me. That's how great this game is. In general, I think Shovel Knight is a fantastic game. I could spend hours listing the countless classics it pays tribute to, but even with its hiccups and its difficulty curve, it was a fantastic experience. It gave me the kind of joy that I haven't felt in a while, and that makes me happy. So if you are among the 10 people who haven't played this game, do yourself a favor, play it please. The game as it is right now even comes packaged with a bunch of campaign DLCs where you can play as one of the bosses from the main story, and I can't wait to get around those. This is the kind of game that hits the right spots in my mid-30s depressional heart, reminding me that even when I'm stuck and frustrated, I am still having fun. Because it's fun to run into a little brick wall every now and then feeling satisfied figuring out what you were doing wrong. It's fun to be exploring something new and unknown, and better yet, it's fun to be playing a concept and an idea that, thanks to time, experience, and better hardware, has finally been allowed to reach its full potential.